Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this amazing gumdrop border. This border is so sweet. It can be put on any blanket with a multiple of 8 stitch count, although that can be customized to fit any blanket you like. It is super sweet and has little popcorns working along the edge, which gives a very uniform edge on all 4 sides. For this border, I used half a skein of Softly Baby in white and then just little leftovers of the yarn that I used for my blanket just to make those popcorns. There are ends to sew in for the popcorns, let me tell you that, but it is totally worth it to have this sweet little blanket, and the border looks great on both sides. If you want to make this exact blanket, I'll link it up in the cards up above, but of course you could put this border on any blanket that you like. If you'd like a written pattern to go along this tutorial, it is included in the Berry Biscuit baby blanket pattern over on my website, secretyarnery.com. So you get the blanket and the border all in one great instant download PDF. If that's of interest to you, I'll put a link to that in the description box down below. So let's get started. To start your border, put your hook into the very first stitch. So I'm working into the back of my work. My cute little bumps are facing up, and my hook is into that very first stitch. Take a loop of yarn. I'm using white. You want to leave a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail and just hold it along the back of your work. And chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. If you joined your yarn in a different way, do a chain 4. Wrap your yarn, skip a stitch. We're going to be working into the second stitch right here. 1 double crochet. 1, chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet into the second stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and again we want to make sure we're lining it up with our spaces down below. So double crochet before the space, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet right after that space. Chain 1, skip 1, so we're skipping the next stitch into the second, 1 double crochet. So pause the video, keep making a chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, all the way along this row, making sure you start and finish after each of those spaces. So our pattern will line up, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. At the end of the row, chain 1, skip 1. So we're going to work straight in, we're going to skip that last double crochet and work straight into the chain and make our double crochet. So that finishes off this edge of our blanket, and we'll do our corner. So chain 2, 1 and 2, and rotate your work so we can start working down along this side. Into the very same stitch, 1 more double crochet. So our corners for this row are going to be double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. Then we're going to work along into the sides of our stitches. So chain 1, wrap your yarn, and we're going to go right into the bottom of this stitch, just pushing your hook in and making 1 double crochet. Chain 1, and into the bottom of the next stitch, just these little legs right here. 2 strands on your hook, 1 double crochet. Chain 1, into the bottom of the next stitch right here. 1 double crochet. Don't worry if your stitches are in a slightly different spot than mine. It's just the idea of it. We don't want them super close. We want them basically just to be visually matching the top of our blanket. Chain 1, and in to the bottom of the next stitch. 2 legs of that stitch on your hook, 1 double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, bottom of the next stitch. 2 legs of that stitch on your hook, 1 double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1 into the bottom of your next stitch. Just push your hook in between those loops, getting 2 strands on your hook, 1 double crochet, chain 1, and into the bottom of the next stitch, 2 strands on your hook, 1 double crochet. So you're going to keep going down the side of your blanket like this, doing a chain 1 into the side of each stitch, going all the way down until you reach the end. Corners, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the very same stitch, and keep going around, and I'll meet you when you get back to where you started. When you reach back where you started, make 1 double crochet into the same stitch where you joined your yarn, and chain 2. 1, 2. Now we're going to slip stitch into what looks like the 3rd chain. I count this slip stitch at the beginning where we joined our yarn as my first chain. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We want to just go in to that stitch and make 1 slip stitch to join. So push your hook in and slip stitch. And chain 1. Into the top of that chain, 1 single crochet, and into the space, 1 single crochet. Into the stitch, 1 single crochet. So now we're going to work our way all around the blanket, making 1 single crochet into the space and 1 single crochet into each stitch, all the way around, just to build ourselves a nice little edge. So pause the video and make 1 single crochet into the stitch and 1 into each space, going all the way along this side, and I'll meet you at the corner. When you reach your corner space, make 2 single crochets into that space, 1 and 2, chain 1, rotate your work a little bit so we can work along our new row, 2 single crochets into the same space, into that corner space, 1 single crochet into that very first stitch, and now 1 single crochet into each space and 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way along your edge. Corners, 2 single crochets, chain 1 and 2 single crochets. So keep going like that all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we joined. When you get back to the corner where you joined, just finish that up with your 2 single crochets, chain 1 and 2 single crochets. So that gets you around the corner. We're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet that we made. So put your hook in and 1 little slip stitch. And now we're going to take a break from the white yarn. We're not going to disconnect it, but put a stitch marker into that stitch and take your hook out. Now we're going to be working on making our bubbles around the border. So get your stitch markers, and now all along the edge on both sides, we want to put a stitch marker at the same spot as where the bobble is on our blanket, so the corresponding stitch. So I just put my fingers on each side of these double crochets that line up right there, and that is my single crochets that match my biscuit. So try not to get too worried about lining it up straight, kind of line it up how your work has just naturally twisted. And then count in 3 stitches from each side. So how I would count, this would be 1, 2, 3, this would be number 4, and I would count back the other way. 1, 2, 3, and this would be 4. So my 4th stitch is where I'll put my stitch marker, and I just kind of get all this worked out while my blanket is laying flat. So when you're sitting doing your next step, the bobbles, super fun to do by the way, you don't have to worry about which stitch it is, and if it's, you know, if it's the stitch to the left, the stitch to the right, it's already all sorted out for you. So go around your blanket and put a stitch marker in the 4th stitch or the center of your biscuit as far ahead as you want to work, and then we will start the next step. So to make your bobbles, put your hook in right where your stitch marker is, and you can take your stitch marker out. Put a loop of yarn on your hook long enough to sew in with a needle later. Put that onto your hook, bring it through, and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail and just hold it along the back side of your work. And chain 2. 1 and 2. If you join your yarn in a different way, chain 3. Now make 3 double crochets into the same stitch. So we're going to do a popcorn. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Our chain counts as a double crochet, so that is the same stitches we did for the centers of our biscuits. Take your hook out and pop it in to the top of your chain. Just right there. Put that loop back onto your hook and slip stitch and chain 1. Now you can go ahead and cut your yarn, again leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle. Pull your hook up and your yarn out. So you're going to keep doing this all the way along the side of your blanket. Everywhere you have a stitch marker, you're going to make a popcorn. Into the corners, you're going to make a popcorn, but a bit larger. So put your hook in to the chain 1 space in between those pairs of single crochets. Bring your yarn back and slip stitch with both strands to join and drop your tail. Again, you can hold it along your work, just so we can work over it a little bit, and chain 2. 1, 2. And now we're going to make 6 double crochets, so we need to make 5 more. So wrap your yarn and into the very same spot, the very same space, make 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the same way we did the other popcorns, find your stitch at the top of your chain and slip stitch to form a popcorn. Chain 1 to secure, cut your yarn leaving a long enough tail, pull your hook up and your yarn out and snug that down. So keep going making your popcorns all the way around your blanket and I will meet you back. So when your little popcorns are finished, go back to your white yarn where we joined and take that stitch marker out and put your hook back in. And chain 1. Make 1 single crochet into the same stitch and 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So there is 1 and 2. Now into the top of your popcorn, just push your hook down inside. You'll get that chain onto your hook and make 1 single crochet. Wrap your yarn into the stitch right after the popcorn. You're going to make 1 double crochet. And now you're going to divide the number of stitches you have in between your popcorns and make it even. So I'm going to do 3 double crochets, 1 into each of the first 3 stitches. There's 2 and here is 3. Into the next stitch, I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then 3 double crochets into the next 3 stitches. If you have a different number, you will just change the number of double crochets on each side with a single crochet in the middle. So 3 double crochets, 1 into each stitch. Tip your popcorn up into the top of that popcorn and make 1 single crochet. 3 double crochets, 1 into each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. I have 4 stitches left, so I'm making my single crochet into the 4th stitch. And 3 double crochets working back up to the next popcorn. 1 into each stitch. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Push your hook down into the center of that popcorn. Bring your yarn back and make 1 single crochet. Into the next 3 stitches, 1 double crochet into each. 1, 2, and 3. Single crochet into the 4th. And 3 double crochets, 1 into each of the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So your border will look like this with your cute little popcorns sticking up. Keep going along, making 1 single crochet into the popcorn, 3 double crochets into 1 into each of the next 3 stitches, 1 single crochet into the 4th, and 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, and a single crochet into the popcorn all the way along until you reach the corner. When you get to your corner space, put 1 double crochet into each of the first 2 stitches, so 2 double crochets, like that. Single crochet into the 3rd, and then 2 double crochets to get to the corner popcorn. So 1 and 2. Now into the side of the popcorn, we're going to make 1 single crochet to help jump up to that corner. So just into the side, you just want to go into that popcorn a little bit on the side. So 1 single crochet into the side of the popcorn. And 3 single crochets into the top. So if you tip your popcorn up and just put your hook down inside, that is where you want to do your 3 single crochets. So there is 1, 2, and 3. And that'll help get us around that corner. And same thing on the other side. We want to go into the side of that popcorn, just anywhere around here. 1 single crochet into the side. Just push your hook in a little bit somewhere and make 1 single crochet. Now afterwards, this is where we have 4 stitches. If we pull this guy back, there is a stitch hiding underneath that corner popcorn. So if you give it a little tug, you'll see you do find your 5 stitches. So into that first stitch that we pulled out, 1 double crochet and 1 double crochet into the next. Single crochet into the 3rd, and 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So that's how we're going to do our corners. So that is what our corners are going to look like. They're going to lay nice and flat, super cute. So now keep working away around your blanket, and I'll meet you when you get back to where you joined. If you are working along the side where we put the stitches along the side of our blanket and your stitches don't add up, you have too many stitches or not enough, you can either, if you have too many stitches in between your popcorns, you can do a decrease in the first 2 stitches. Just do a double crochet decrease to pinch those together, and that'll give you the right stitch count. Or if you don't have enough, you can do 2 double crochets into the first stitch, or also the last stitch, whichever one is comfortable, and that'll even out your stitch count for the next round. Back where we joined, slip stitch into the top of that single crochet to join. So just right here on top of that short little stitch, we'll do 1 little slip stitch just to finish up this round. Chain 1. So now we're going to make a front post single crochet around that single crochet where we joined. So we're going to go before the single crochet and up after the single crochet. So put your hook in before the single crochet and up after. Bring your yarn and just finish your single crochet. So wrap your yarn and take off 2. So that's our little front post single crochet. Into this next stitch, 1 single crochet. Into the next, half double. So wrap your yarn and go into the next stitch. Grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off all 3 stitches. Now we're at the top of our popcorn. So wrap your yarn and do 1 double crochet. Wrap your yarn and 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches going down on this side. Remember, we don't have enough stitches on this side that we normally do, so that's why it's a little bit different. But now this is what we're going to be doing for the rest of the rounds on the sides. So there's our 1 half double crochet. We want to make another half double crochet. Single crochet into the next. And front post single crochet around this single crochet down. Oops, I gotta stop using that. And front post single crochet around this little stitch at the bottom of the valley. So put your hook in before the stitch and bring it up after, and just do your single crochet. So that is a front post single crochet. The next stitch we're working into is right here. That's getting a single crochet. Now 2 half doubles to climb up to the top. So 2 half double crochets, 1 into each stitch. There's our first. Here is our second. And then at the top of our popcorn, the stitch right at the top, that's where we're doing our double crochet. There is our double crochet. And now 2 half double crochets coming down the hill. So we're going to do a half double right here and also into the next stitch. So wrap your yarn and half double crochet 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. There's our 2 half double crochets. Now we're at the valley, so we're going to do single crochet, front post single crochet, and single crochet. So single crochet into the next stitch. Front post single crochet around that little stitch at the bottom of the valley. So put your hook in before and bring it out after and make your single crochet. And 1 single crochet right after it. The stitch kind of hides that stitch, so pull your hook back so you can get into that stitch. We want to make a single crochet. 2 half double crochets climbing up to the top of your popcorn. So there's 1 and 2. Into the top of the popcorn, 1 double crochet. There's our 1 double crochet. That gives us this nice little undulating wave going around with a small little detail where our front post single crochets are. So now we're going to keep going. 2 half double crochets going down the hill. There's 1 and 2. 1 single crochet, 1 front post single crochet, and 1 more single crochet into that stitch behind at the bottom of the valley. 2 half doubles going up the hill, 1 and 2, and 1 double crochet at the top of the hill, right on top of that popcorn. So we're going to keep working along, repeating the same thing all the way until we get to the corner. So pause the video and keep doing the same stitches all the way along until you reach the corner. When we get to the corner, we have less stitches in the spaces before and after our corner popcorn. So we're going to be doing the same thing, but just less of it. So we're only going to be doing 1 half double crochet coming down. I've finished my double crochet at the top of my popcorn. So now I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. And then our single crochets. So single crochet into the next, front post single crochet into the stitch in the valley, and 1 single crochet into that stitch that's behind. So half double crochet into that last stitch before the popcorn, half double, and now into the stitches around the popcorn, 1 single crochet. Into the first stitch that works into that popcorn, we'll make 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Into the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And into the next stitch. So this is the last one that works into the popcorn, 2 single crochets. So that'll help us get around the corner. Rotate your work a little bit so we can start working down this side. Into the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And now we're into our first stitch after the popcorn, so that gets a half double crochet. We're going to do the exact same thing on both sides of our corner. So single crochet into the next stitch, front post single crochet around that single crochet, and single crochet into that stitch that is behind, that little guy right there. Half double crochet into the stitch before the popcorn. And now into the popcorn, your double crochet. And now we're around the corner and we're just going to do our regular repeat down the side, into the valleys and up the other hill. And our corner looks like this. So keep going, working all the way around, and I'll meet you when you get back to where you joined. When you get back to where we joined, we're just going to work down this hill a little bit. So we've just done our half double crochet. Now along this side we have one extra stitch. So we're going to do a decrease. So start your single crochet, leave it on your hook. Start a second single crochet. This is just taking care of that chain we made. So now there's 3 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn and take off all 3 loops. So that is a single crochet decrease. So let's tighten that up and give us 5 stitches again. And now you can either slip stitch to the top of that front post single crochet like normal, or we can do an invisible join. Just because of the last round of our blanket, I'm going to do an invisible join. So don't slip stitch, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to use a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, just like that. Grab your needle and thread your needle. And now keep an eye where that yarn is coming from. You can see that stitch that the yarn came from right there, that little hole. Keep an eye on that as we are working this invisible join. So just keep your eye on that area and look for the top 2 loops of your front post single crochet. Just how you would be crocheting, you'd put your hook under both loops. We want to do the same thing with our needle. So just bring that yarn through. Don't make it too tight, but snug it down a bit. And then right back where that yarn came from, where we were keeping our eye on it, we're going to put our needle right back down, right where it came from. So put your needle down, and you want to make sure it's like hidden in your stitches and into the same spot where your yarn came from. So now just work your needle down to the bottom where all of those extra stitches are. It's a great place to hide your end. And then just while you're looking closely, just snug it down until it looks the same as another stitch. And that's it, you did an invisible join. So now work your tails back and forth. I'm just going to go along underneath this corner stitch, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to this channel just by hitting that subscribe button down below and the notification bell beside that, so you don't miss out on any other easy, quick tutorials just like this. I'd love to see your finished work. You can follow me over on Instagram at Secret Yarnery, or also Facebook, The Secret Yarnery. And we also have a Facebook group, The Secret Yarnery Crochet Community. And you can also find me over on Pinterest at Secret Yarnery. So thanks so much for hooking along. We'll see you in the next video, and stay hooked.